when I was around 14. It was getting to the point when I was having to sleep in hospital and then try and go to school in the day, come back to hospital at night because my airway just used to close down at night and my oxygen used to drop. So that was quite difficult.
I was abused as a child. I had post-traumatic stress disorder and anxiety problems, but my whole world was turned upside down and I didn't want to get my parents involved. I was 14 at the time and I wasn't comfortable about talking about mental health with them, considering my abuse had come and my mental health problems had come from the household.
When I was 11, I was referred to Manchester Children's Hospital from my consultant in Burnley. When I have my injections, I have a little routine where, just to help me feel like I've got more control over it, sort of lessens my anxiety. And it's just that they say 3, 2, 1 and then they do it and they grab a lot of skin and then they go really slow because it's quite painful, it's like treacle. And then I get some doctors in doing it, but I'd always have my nurse Steve. So Steve would always say, look, she likes it like this, she likes you to do this, this and this, before they even came in to give it me. So they knew what I liked before. So even if it was a different doctor, they knew what I liked because they'd been told by Steve and Steve was always there.
I work with a severe asthma service here and my colleagues here have had an interest in identifying young adults transitioning from paediatrics to adults, in particular identifying these patients as a risk group.
We work with 16 and 17-year-olds, we accept self-referrals. We will see anybody who's living within the Manchester footprint and we will see people quite rapidly. Because we've only got a 2-year age range, we're able to be quite flexible and I think we're able to also bring an energy to the cases that we see. From a psychodynamic perspective, one of the things that I remember is that the most important piece of work is the beginning and the ending.
About a year later, when it was on my 17th birthday, I'm kept in the child's ward and it's confusing, like why am I in an adult's ward when I'm 16, when I just turned 16 and then when I've just turned 17 I'm in a child's ward. And there were infants in that same ward who were a few months old and there I am, and it didn't quite add up.
And so there's several patterns that we've noticed as a service that make it challenging for these patients. They've changed from an old team to a new team. They're transitioning from their parents being their main kind of advocate in consultations to us identifying them as an adult and as the main patient. And that's a big transition for them. And then during their worsenings, when they come into an adult hospital, suddenly they're in an environment of quite elderly patients around them rather than younger patients.
Couldn't really talk to anyone because there's no one your age, like a similar age in the waiting room. It all seems to be a lot older people who with a lot different issues, so like lung issues and heart failure and stuff like that, which is different from, obviously it's just in a lung clinic, so you've got people with very serious illnesses and then people who are just coming for an asthma checkup, so it's quite scary just sat there looking around and just scare you a bit, yeah.
And I think what we have to understand is that young people often feel helpless and can start to feel as if actually nothing can ever change in their lives. And I think if you're starting from that position of helplessness, if you're hungry, if you're tired and if you're cold, then actually walking to a CAMHS department is quite a big thing to ask of young people.
And it wasn't easy getting there. I was homeless for a good while. I was left in an adult's hostel. I stayed at a friend's. I slept rough, and there was no support in that sense. And obviously, sleeping rough isn't going to help your mental health. Emerge
benefits hugely from being based within the developmental framework of CAMHS. What this means is that we do see our 16 and 17-year-olds as children, and we recognise that children do not stop being children at 18. We also recognise that children develop at different rates.
So one of the initiatives that we have up and running at the moment, which started only within the last year, is that any patient who comes into the emergency department with an asthma exacerbation, whether they get discharged home or whether they get admitted, those patients are all followed up within 28 days, and they come back to an asthma clinic and they're seen by an asthma specialist. And from that point, they may be discharged back to their GP or need regular follow-up, but that's an initiative that's up and running and working very well.
You have to get used to new doctors, and no matter how much you don't like it, you know, you're an adult, you can't go back to the children's hospital.
That what they're feeding back to us is that they still need a developmentally based approach which is able to meet all of their different mental health needs under one roof and is able to meet those needs in a way that is flexible.
I think that's one of the risks in the transition period. They may be familiar with who they can contact, so it might be their paediatric asthma nurse, that they know who to call, they know what A&E to go to, and suddenly they've completely changed and they're going to a different hospital, different team, and they may not feel as confident to contact us. So our concept is that we'd have a little pack. They'll have met us in person, but they'll also have our contact details, photos of us, that sort of thing, a kind of a welcome pack.
Another thing that could help that is a 19 to 24 clinic, so where you sat with people your own age, you can, you know, relate to people, talk about if their asthma's bad, what they've done to help it, or, you know, different creams if they've got eczema that you can try, and just have a general conversation, making the whole process a lot more relaxed.
I look back on it sometimes and it surprises me that I made the effort I did to get the healthcare I did, like the health advice I did. Emerge have been fantastic, but I think more needs to be done, especially from the social care perspective, to just in support.
Because when you talk to someone who you know is having the same thing, just sort of settle your mind and you think, okay, it's going to be okay.
I mean, the positives, once I got somewhere stable and I've got referred to Emerge and I started seeing my clinical psychologist, Lindsay, things went upwards. It wasn't easy, but it's what I needed.